quick disclaimer, this is just so I can see how I teach and hopefully improve from the video. I'm going to watch it later. It's not any evaluation of you whatsoever. It's just so I can see how I teach, possible things I can improve, etc., etc., etc. So let's start by taking out the sources you have and taking out any notes you might have. So either con is over here and pro is over here. Okay, so yes, con. So take out your sources and your notes, and we're going to begin in 30 seconds. Make sure you know who's going to give her your first speech. All right? Okay? Just some quick reminders for the debate. It's going to help you a lot if you can take down some notes on what the other people are saying, so you make sure to rebut all of their points, i.e. go against and butt heads with all their points. So that's going to help you a lot. It's also going to help you. We're going to have 2-minute conferences in between the rounds so you can talk about and plan for your next arguments, get your arguments together. And make sure, just to remind you, no person can talk in more than 2 rounds, and you all need to speak at least once in 1 round. Yes, sir.
Do we just speak from our seat?
Yeah, you can stand up however you want. If you want to come up here, feel free. You can't come over here and be like in their face, but you can stand up and present your case. So you got, yeah, that's fine. You can come and stand over here when you want to present your case. So, welcome to the debate. I now call this House to order. We will first hear the speech from the pro side. I remind them that their speech cannot exceed 3 minutes. Their time begins now. So, go ahead. Please stand up and come to the front of the room.
If you want.
Or you can just stand there if you want. Yeah, that's fine.
We are pro-industrial revolution, and we think that it was a good thing because it increased the individual's wealth. It created more jobs. It increased the overall living standard, and increased the overall living standard. And since there's more rich people, more money was given back to the society as a result of more people getting rich.
Do you want to elaborate on those points, or does someone want to come in and add some more to that, or is that can be it?
Anybody want to
All right. Okay. Thank you. I thank the pro side for their case, or for their opening arguments, and now I welcome the con side for a speech not to exceed 3 minutes. You may begin now.
Okay, we believe the Industrial Revolution is not good because it lacked in education for children and equality. There was not really when you were born, and it all depended on how rich your family was, and some people got more amount of pay than others by a total unfair idea of working, of factory owners and then the workers, and people were very clumped up. It was not very spread out. Like, there were thousands of people in cities and then a small amount of people in countrysides, which created problems. No evenly spread out population.
So instead of cramping up in one space, they should be spread out into the other parts of.
Okay, so about education. Let's say you were a kid in a child in a factory. Your parents didn't have the money, for one, to get you into school, or 2, you didn't have the time because you worked on a 16-hour basis in a factory, and even if your parents would be able to save up the large amount of money to pay for your school, you wouldn't even have the time to go. And so that's a problem. You would never get anywhere in life, and you live exactly the same as your parents would.
All right. Okay. Good. Thank you. Thank you for your speech of 1 minute and 36 seconds. That brings the conclusion of the first round, and now there will be a 2-minute conference amongst your teams where you can discuss what happened in that first round and prepare for the second round. All right. So your time begins now. Guys, that was good.
Okay,
No, it was good. Just compare that.
Brian, thank you. I think you guys really stress it.
Leah and Zoya are they're staying on it.
You guys
We're
didn't stress
supposed to be repeating
education.
what they
Of course we did. We said everything that we have.
Which round two you
We
do?
didn't get any further.
Great, okay, good.
You can pick between, you
Okay.
can pick up these three. I know, but the
Oh,
next round's supposed to be a rebuttal, but
They, so they're gonna find the
No,
things like
it's
say,
next
oh, the industrial revolution.
Yeah,
that
it's
these
next
guys
round,
aren't
they
making
say
sense,
first.
whatever. And then you're gonna say, oh, actually, we are making sense because, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you're gonna contradict what they said. Hopefully you're gonna present why your case shouldn't. So they're similar, but there's just like.
You got some third round?
Round 3. Yes, I know, but.
Alright, second round,
You
you're
two have
supposed
to,
to argue with
we're done with
these.
that, so now we're on to this one.
Second one, we were.
So we,
So see, there's what we're stressing our points, right?
You argue the weak points of their side.
And then we rebuttal on round 3.
That's
we
later,
rebuttal.
yeah, but
So
right
we're
now,
just arguing.
right now, you need to find the weak points of their argument.
yeah, so,
Okay,
talk
I
about what
have
happened.
because like how the rich people help the poor people. They like the rich people didn't care.
What they're saying is that, living standards are higher because some
For
individuals,
rich, why are you?
Rich people donate money to society.
they're saying that there were people who were able to be rich, unlike the
Yeah, but
communists.
how does the rich people help the poor people?
They
They
don't.
Oh, right, that's what we're gonna stress, because they saying that it's good because that's.
You think people don't care about, like, the other people who are working at the factory?
Exactly, that's what we're
But then they
stressing.
say,
Most people don't care anyway. We can't stress that because it's a.
Alright,
Never mind,
they say,
never mind.
alright, okay, that concludes the, if you can all sit back down, that concludes the 2-minute team conference. So now, we will reopen the floor for debate. We will begin with, a speech not to exceed 3 minutes by the pro side, specifically arguing for the weak points, of the other side, the cons argument. I would like to also remind you that, when debating, just a side note, when debating, it's very important to use all your time, use as much time as you can, because for obvious reasons, that's to your advantage. You want to present your case as strong as possible. You want to make sure you fill all the time you have, and if that means repeating your points, go through and repeat your points. If that means elaborating and just not making, and like just elaborating, going with the flow of it, go ahead and do that, but make sure you use all your time. That's just a general tip on how to debate. But besides that, that first round went really well. And so now I welcome the a speech not to exceed 3 minutes from the pro side. You may begin now. Please stand up when you.
The crowded population, it was I guess it was kind of a weak point because they couldn't move if they wanted to. It wasn't like really the industrial revolution's fault. And,
Okay, so explain that. That's a good point, but yeah. Explain what you mean when you say that.
like the cities were crowded and there was more people in the country, so if there was more space in the country, people could have spread out among the country. And then it wouldn't be as crowded.
Okay, good. You please no side conversations while the other team is presenting their case.
Alright, weak point is that it was all crowded, whatever, but we brought more jobs so your people could work and get more money. And, we have new power sources, so we could have like better trade and communication, so it was like a faster process.
Okay, good. So does that concludes that round? Yeah.
Wait.
Alright.
We have like better technology, like the flying shuttle, the spinning Jimmy, and the cotton gin for, your citizens so that you can work and you can get money to provide for your family. So we were basically helping you, and that's why the Industrial Revolution was good.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So that concludes the first part there. Thank you for your speech of 1 minute and 40 seconds. I now call upon the opposition or the con side for a speech not to exceed 3 minutes. You may begin now.
Okay.
individually, more people could be rich, but the thing is, few people were richer, so it was mostly the factory owners, and they didn't really help the poorer people. And since there were more jobs, more people moved to the cities, and there was lots of crowding, and everyone wanted a job. So if someone got a job, they had really bad wages and living conditions in the factories, and if they complained about it, anyone could replace them. So, and even the fact that there were so many people that wanted the job, a lot of people didn't have the jobs. And yeah, did you have more to say?
They argued in their argument that they brought more jobs and provided more for the families, but at what cost? Because you couldn't go to school. It's not enough to provide for the family, and there's pretty poor working conditions. Lots of injuries happen. Some pretty messed up families. Like I said, you can't go to school. Like, if you don't have an education, then you're not gonna go far in life. And you do the same thing for the rest of your life, just work, and for long periods of time too. You don't get them, like, you don't get a lunch break. You get like a short lunch break, and poor working conditions. So
Yeah, it's like a lot of these people, they were making money, but they were just surviving, like they weren't gonna go much further. As long as they were born in a really low class.
Okay, thank you, side opposition. I now,
How long was that time?
oh, that was 1 minute and 50 seconds.
Oh, pretty good.
That was good. Much better. So now there will be another 2-minute team conference where you can discuss the results of that round and prepare for the next round. Your time begins now.
Okay,
We're not here.
yeah, and then they also said that we could move whenever we want to. How are we supposed to move if the jobs were in the country? Like, if there was anything that there's no jobs in the country, that's the reason people move. If they spread out the working jobs, then it would be easier to have like an equal amount of people in each. What they said in the
Since you have factories in big cities, that's why. That's why there is no people. If you put factories in different places, you factory grow in different places. And if, what else did they say?
Without much
Said,
technology,
About the spinning jenny and
without much healthcare.
And they said, just because you can provide us jobs does not mean anything, because we have a lot of people, and not all of our people can work in the factories.
that's true.
And so we were just
And
gonna
talk about the
replace
cruel working
then.
conditions, because they provide us jobs, but they didn't provide us good jobs, because they want to make kids work and make money.
And the sheet, are you just like, who's doing, like, what the teams are doing?
It's me and,
Yeah, but
I don't,
Oh, yeah.
and you took the other sheet. Team A, so that's true.
Okay, 10 seconds left.
Like, think of something nobody hasn't got. We have a lot of.
Okay, thank you. I call this house to order again. That concludes the second round. I now call upon the side, the pro side, to rebut the points of side opposition in a speech not to exceed 3 minutes. You may begin.
So, you guys talked about the cities being overpopulated and not many people being in the countryside, but you can move, like you didn't have to work in the city, you could have moved, become a farmer and worked there if you wanted to. But if you wanted to stay in the factory, you're still making more money than working as a farmer. And like what you guys talked about, you get short lunch breaks, at least you're still getting lunch. Like people are there are people who don't eat. You, like, if you're poor and you can't eat, at least you guys are able to eat. So you want to talk
Oh,
about-
yeah. Well, our argument was primarily focused on the improvement the Industrial Revolution brought to our world. Well, if you look at our world now, we have like pretty good living conditions. Everybody, like I would say, the vast majority of the world is well fed, and the vast majority of the world is well educated. This is kind of related, this is kind of caused by the Industrial Revolution, creating more jobs, creating more wealth for people. And if it wasn't for the Industrial Revolution, right now most of the world, we would probably be poor farmers who aren't educated, and there probably wouldn't be the technology we have today. And the harsh working conditions is just, yes, the conditions during the Industrial Revolutions were harsh, but that is all fixed because of the unions, and now we have pretty good living conditions.
Yeah, because of the Industrial Revolution, we're not all farmer hillbillies working on countrysides. We have good living conditions, we have good workplaces, places where we're safe. So because of the Industrial Revolution, it advanced our world today and like made it what we are today.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your speech of 2 minutes and 17 seconds. Very nice. I now call upon side opposition to present their case in a speech not exceeding 3 minutes. You may begin.
Okay, so you guys talked about how like we were able to move if we felt that there was too much like crowdedness or too many people in one place. But the reason we couldn't move was because if we did move and became a farmer, we wouldn't have enough money to support our family. So like the reason we moved to the towns were because of your working, like of the factories that you guys built. If you guys would have built factories in different areas, not just in that one town, it would have spaced us out. And like with your working conditions, even though they were bad, that's the only option we had. Like you said about lunch, like yes, you gave us lunch, but we worked like 16 hours a day, one lunch for a couple minutes. That's pretty cruel. And you guys would beat us and the children, like, and your kids were able to go to school, but ours weren't because they had to work.
Yeah, you guys said you guys provided jobs, but they weren't good jobs at all. You worked 16 hours from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. Add it up, that's 16 hours. Those are some cruel working conditions. You get beat. You barely get any time for lunch. You get beat. And, you know, and yeah, there still are, like even in modern day, there's still hillbillies working on farms. There still are cruel working conditions. And it's because of the Industrial Revolution.
With your jobs, like our health was also in risk because there was a lot of injuries going on, and with those injuries there was sickness and diseases that went on. So that it's not a good job. The reason we stayed was because if we didn't stay, basically like we wouldn't be able to support our family, and hello, we need to support our family.
Yeah, and kids start working at a young age. Some kids even like 10, 11 years old. And some of them just can't handle it, and they can't. It's hard to provide for your family. I mean, it's better than working in a farm. Like if you want us to move, that'll be an even worse job. I know there probably won't be any beatings or anything, but you won't have any money to pay for provide for your family, so it's gonna be tough.
And like with you guys said that it was good because there was more rich people, but those rich people didn't help the poor people. They didn't help us with our jobs. They didn't help us pay bills or get food for our families. So really, what was the point of the rich people? You guys just helped yourselves and your children.
Your children got to go to school and get a nice education, while our children had to work in factories and suffer.
You guys had to have good meals every night and like enjoy, but while we suffered and worked all day, every single day.
Okay, thank you, that was exactly 3 minutes. Thank you for your, speech. Order is important. Thank you for your speech, 3 minutes. That concludes the third round. I will now give you 2 minutes to once again discuss the results of that round with your team and to prepare for the final round. In the final round, I expect concluding arguments from all. You may begin.
Alright, so one thing I realized was that
We're gonna read
the people, they said they
No, they're not. No, the point of this round is to make any final statements, any final,
So you guys really have to keep it that way.
the people you the people moving like the fact that because they're more educated, that things are pointing at the Industrial Revolution,
I didn't even
well,
get that stuff.
alright,
no, you guys are right now.
No, I don't.
Let me put some on how.
okay, how did you pronounce that?
Yeah.
Proletariat.
Just stay on,
It's
stay
up,
on.
it's like a finding stereo, finding a
Stay put for it and then really talk about it. Make sure you guys are already for 3 minutes too.
were the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah, I'll talk about the community.
Yeah.
Okay, 1 more minute
Yeah,
left.
1 to 1.
I will warn you that the debate is rather close at the moment, okay?
An hour long.
So the concluding arguments may very well sway it one way or another, so.
How do you decide who wins?
He's been flowing out with the arguments and seeing how you rebut each other's arguments.
Oh,
So you guys really have to like kill it. This has to be, make sure it's 3 minutes. And say everything, like.
Our modern day directors are taking that step. Yeah, just
20 seconds.
say something.
No.
And talk about that slave thing we talked about, cause you didn't talk about that.
Oh, no, that's fine. It's not needed.
Talk about as much as you can, like if you want to just, yeah.
Okay, that concludes the 2-minute team conference. So I now call the House to order once again, and I welcome, I welcome the pro side to deliver their concluding remarks, reminding them that their speech may not exceed 3 minutes. You may begin now.
Alright. I know that you guys are mad, but like, you gotta calm down. I said I know you're mad, but you gotta calm down. Because when we did about the jobs, you said that the people had didn't have jobs, but at least we increased the job for the people. You know what I mean?
Okay. So, you guys were saying that we didn't help you guys, and we just took all the money to ourselves. But by building all these factories and creating all these jobs, we tried to give you a better life instead of living on farms. We give you better pay than working on farms. And, so yeah. And this path of the Industrial Revolution carved our way for modern life, because that was pretty much the starting point of technological innovations. And in order to get where we were today, we have to start low and just climb the ladder. And to get there, it's really hard. So the harsh working conditions, just those were like a stepping stone. And okay, so you guys were saying that like all the wealthy people keep money for themselves, they don't care about anybody else. Like, but if you ask 98 out of 100 people who are rich, they'll say that like they're honest and they're kind. Like they'll be like, you see all these people today, like all these rich people, they give money to charities. So that just shows that how like giving they are. They just don't take all the money for themselves.
About about the technologies, if it weren't for the Industrial Revolution, we would never have the technologies we have today, like the hospital and like most of the livings people make, and abundance of riches.
Does that,
Well, I just wanna say something. I don't know, he was talking about hospitals. That was not my idea. Okay.
do you wanna present one concluding, like, summary maybe? I'll give you, just like, just summarize your case for the judge over there.
Okay.
Why should you win?
I think we should win, first of all, because we're awesome. And, that, like, if it wasn't for the Industrial Revolution, we just wouldn't be where we are. We'd all be poor, there wouldn't be a lot of rich people, so, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your speech of 3 minutes and 3 seconds.
That is not fair.
No, there's like a 15-second grace period, okay? You can finish your sentence, that's how real debates work. So now I call the side opposition for their concluding arguments, reminding them that their speech may not exceed 3 minutes. You may begin now.
Okay, so I see how you sort of run out of points because you restate everything that you said. Also, with the hospitals, you created those just because of our workers losing their arms working. So how about you think about that? Plus, you wouldn't even give us the money to get our something like our arm fixed, anything like that. So what we thought was that it should be a fair community, that there's not one person in charge of a factory. It's the community that gets everybody a fair pay, and no one is born into wealth like the people you say, and like the rich people that you were to think about. And however the statistic came of 98 out of 100 rich people would give up their money, that's a complete lie, because our wages, they're barely survivable. Now, in our theory, everybody should get the same amount of money. A doctor, a janitor, a factory worker. They all get the same amount of education. So, let's say someone has been working for 10 years. They've been a doctor for 10 years. They will get the same amount of pay annually as a janitor that's been working for 10 years. They've both been working the same hours, and they both work just as hard. I think it's just as disgusting to scrape gum off a wall that it is to cure someone. So, let's say income tax just keeps progressing. You get more and more the longer you work, for 15 years, 20 years, things like that. And you said that the factories, you gave our people jobs. You're acting like the people that you are. Selfish, rich people who say, you poor people can come work in our factories. That's not what you're saying, because,
We're not the factory.
Shh, no,
well, that's
no
kind
cross,
of
no
how
cross
you
the line.
are arguing your statement. Because some of the people who believe it was a good thing to have an industrial revolution are saying things like, you should go work in our factories. Like, I'm pretty much quoting. And,
You have 15 seconds.
Close it.
Alright. So we believe in a fair society that everyone should all have a chance of going to school, making a fair amount of pay, surviving, and not being owned by people who own factories or being beaten in factories. And
All right. Thank you for your speech of 3 minutes and 8 seconds. There's a 15-second grace period. If he had started another sentence, I would have cut it off, but that's fine. Thank you, Leon. Thank you, side opposition, and thank you, side government, or the pro side in this case. I'm going to confer with the judge for a second, and then we will decide on the winner. Okay. Congratulations. It was really close. It was a wonderful debate, very lively. I had a lot of fun just listening to you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned a lot. I once again, I say it was really close. You really did a great job of debating and going against each other's points. But in the end, it broke down to the winners being the con side.
Yes.
Congratulations. That you did a wonderful job, pro side. But that's just how it seems to have flown out. And Robbie's going to give us a brief explanation of why.
Okay, you guys both did a great job presenting evidence, and to a certain extent, refuting each other's points. There was sort of a relatively equal number of rebuttals on both sides. A couple of things though. The con side was more clear about their ideals. I assume you were sort of a communist
Yeah,
in this
exactly.
debate. Okay. You stated your ideals much more clearly, especially in your closing arguments, which you definitely wrapped things up very nicely. And pro, there was one small flaw in your argument, or something that repeated itself, that without the Industrial Revolution we would still be an agrarian society. Because the Industrial Revolution happened, we have no way to prove that we would still be an agrarian society. It's called a counterfactual, just be aware of that. And, but still, overall, a great presentation of evidence on both sides, and good rebuttal on both sides.
Okay, thank you, Robbie. So just to emphasize that, the whole deal about the counterfactuals, we talked about that a little bit when we were talking about thesis statements. So you remember when we played thesis statement, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, or topic sentence, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? One of the problems we saw recurring was thesis statements that had this hypothetical sense to them. Like, as for the example from this debate, if the Industrial Revolution had never occurred, we would still be a rural society. There's absolutely no way to prove that, so that lacks the P in snappy, that lacks the provable part. So just when you're making arguments, when you're doing, especially in history, but also in other classes, in any situations in life, you have to realize that counterfactuals, there's no way to prove them whatsoever. So if you can put away your notes on that. We're done with that, and we'll debrief the debate tomorrow. But now I'm just going to quickly introduce the projects that we're going to be doing for the rest of the summer. Thank you, Robbie. So, do not lose this. This is the handout on the DBQ, which stands for Document-Based Question, which we are going to be doing the rest of the summer. We're going to be working on writing an essay. So the way this works is in this DBQ, I have given you 9 documents consisting of pictures, the Communist Manifesto, the Wealth of Nations, there's political cartoons. One second. And so what you're going to do is, using all these different sources, you are going to write an essay answering the question in bold on the first page. So we're going to, these next few days, talk about how to write an essay. The first few days we're just going to read through the sources, annotate. That's your homework tonight is going to be to read the first 3 pages and annotate in answer to the question. So if you want, I'll take out your planners and write that down. That would be wonderful. So yes, that includes Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations, the Communist Manifesto, Free to Choose, and Theory of Social Organization. Okay? That should not take you too long.
Wait, so we're just supposed to read the...
You're just supposed to read, and as you go, I would like you to annotate and answer to the question on the first page. So right now, if you can all take out your planners and write that down, that would help a lot. So you don't forget that. Read through the first 3 pages and annotate and answer to the question on the front. And look up when you're done writing that down so we can read through the first 3 pages and annotate.
Wait, what do you
So
mean
I
by
would-
that? I know,
And the question on the front.
I know, I'm saying like,
We're gonna read the front together today.
count it like this one.
What was it? Wait, the question on the front.
1,
Oh,
2,
question in the front is 1, 2.
3. Okay?
It says 1.
So you're annotating, looking for answers to that question. That's gonna be the question that your document-based essay is going to answer.
Yeah.
So this is the...
Yes,
everyone is
and right
answering
there.
this question.
Everyone is answering that question for your document-based.
But we're not answering for homework.
No, not for homework. I just want you to read through the first 3 pages and annotate. But as you annotate, remember, we keep a question in mind, and that's the question I'd like you to have in mind. Okay? Everyone understand?
Are we reading the first page?
Everyone have that written down?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I will, I think we'll just read the first page, I'll read, so that we can all get a sense of the prompt here. So, DBQ, capitalism, communism, and socialism. Directions. The following question requires you to construct a coherent essay that integrates your interpretation of documents 1 through 9 and your knowledge of the period referred to in that question. High scores will be earned only by essays that cite both key pieces of evidence from the documents and draw on outside knowledge of the period. So that's just the general how a DBQ works. That's pretty much directly from the College Board's website. This is something they do on the APUS test. This is an easier version of that, but this is a typical format you'll see a lot in high school, a document-based question. So that's just the standard directions for how a document-based question works. So, and this is the introduction I wrote. As the Industrial Revolution drew to a close in the mid-19th century, people began to question the changes it had brought about. What system of government would be ideal to govern these new industries and the developing economy? Who should control industry and the means of production? Who should own the factories? Should workers be given specific rights? The answers to these questions took the form of modern-day capitalism, communism, and socialism. In answering this question, you will have to discuss the advantages/disadvantages of all three systems of government. You will answer this question in proper essay format, including footnotes and a bibliography. When writing, make sure to cite specific examples of successes and failures of the system, make specific references to the following documents, and draw on the outside background knowledge you have learned this summer. Alright? So, any questions? Yeah, Leah, what's your question? 1 second.
Wait, so you do not need a footnote, but you will cite it, but you don't need a footnote if you, in your own words, write something from another source.
Correct. So if you paraphrase and you think it's common knowledge, then you do not need to footnote it. But if you paraphrase and you're using something specific ideas, do you remember how we did that?
Like, what if it's like, if it's, let's say it's a statistic or something that's not common knowledge, you'd actually have to put a footnote on it
Yes.
if you paraphrase?
Yeah, because statistics, remember, pretty much all the time you're going to footnote a statistic. Okay? Just keep that in mind. That's just a general, unless it's an obvious statistic, like the United States today has over 300 million people, that's pretty common knowledge. But generally, statistics are going to be stuff that you're going to cite.
What is the statistics, a long time ago? Is your own knowledge?
Okay, well then you don't need to cite it. Yeah. If you know it and you haven't done any research to find it, then you can cite that as common knowledge. The other thing that you're going to notice is I've done all the footnotes for you. They're all in the proper format. I've footnoted all the documents. So, for example, flip to the first page, Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations. So you notice I put a footnote there, and then at the bottom of the page is the footnote. So basically, whenever you want to cite Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations, you just copy my footnote directly. Alright? And then the other thing I did for you is I also already created your bibliography. So if you look at the last page, the bibliography is made, so you just copy the bibliographic entries you use. Don't include the ones that you don't use, obviously. And that should make the bibliography footnote section go pretty easy for you. Yes, Luke, there.
Would we get extra information from websites?
Yes, I believe you can use some outside information. I don't want you really going way too far out of line because the main point here is to teach you how to write the essay. So I've provided some pretty good sources for you. But if you think you have a source, first can you run it by me and show it to me or send me the link or something so I can okay it. But in general, yeah, I'll be okay with you using some outside sources, but focus mostly on these. Like, maybe if you use one outside source, that's alright, but more than that, I'd say no. If you're using 5 outside sources, that's not the point of this. Then you're writing more of a term paper. A document-based question, in the typical format of a document-based question, you'll be sitting in a room, doors locked, windows closed, etc. No, just kidding. But you'll be taking the test, and you'll just use the documents, and it'll be like an in-class essay, basically. But for learning purposes, we're gonna do it over.
Wait, how long do you have?
You would have like an hour or so. This is something you'll do in high school, so get used to it. But don't worry about it. So Leon, I'd say if you want to use one or two outside sources, that's all right. But number one, run them by me first. So, yes, Brian. Did you have a question?
Just gonna say, we're not taking this in class, right?
No, absolutely not. No, sorry. I just wanted to explain to you some background as to how these DBQs work, because you will see them other times in life. So get used to it. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. Any other questions regarding this? No? So how this is going to work is tonight you're going to read the first half of it, basically, and then the following night you're going to read the next part, then slowly we will build it into a paper. So we'll do the thesis statements first, then from thesis statements we will dissect those and turn those into topic sentences. Then from topic sentences, we'll turn those into paragraphs, so then we'll have our body paragraphs, then we'll learn how to write an introduction and a conclusion, and finally we'll learn how to connect everything together in the beautiful form of an essay, and hopefully we will have time to edit them, and then the final drafts will be due 2 days, I believe the Wednesday during the last week of school. Alright? This is week 4 of day 3, so week 4, day 3, so however many that leaves. There are 6 weeks, 6 full weeks. So yeah, that would mean 2.5 more weeks, yes.
We have 12 days behind today.
You basically have 2 weeks to write this. So that's pretty much all I have for you today. So if you want to start reading, that'd be fine. It looks like there are roughly 4 minutes left in class. So that's it.
Explain what
Oh, yeah, Eric just asked a good question. So how this is going to work is the next few days, for the content part of our course, we are going to be learning and defining communism, capitalism, and socialism. For example, tomorrow we're going to be debriefing the debate, and I will show you where all the positions lie. You kind of know this, but these 2 teams over here, the Austin's group with Cecil Rhodes, they were libertarian capitalists, and the other group were social democrat capitalists. And over here we have the socialists and the communists. So I'll define all those tomorrow for you, break it down, show you why all those were what they were, and that'll be that. And then the next day we'll go through capitalism, define capitalism, talk about different examples of capitalism, and work from there. Then the next day, communism, and then socialism. Alright? So that's how the rest of the year is going to work. Yes, Annie?
Yeah.
A Sharpie? I'm not sure.
You don't have to do anything?
What?
If you do.
Yeah, I don't think I have one, sorry.
Okay.
Okay, that's pretty much it. Leon, I'm gonna get back to you on the outside sources thing, because I want to talk to Errol, Mr. Saunders, about that, because I'd be okay with it, but I'm not sure how. Because the DBQ is something like we as teachers are supposed to do, so there's a defined format for how he wants us to present it, so I'm gonna talk to him about that.
I'm trying to find it.
But that's what I would go
Oh,
with
you
for now,
didn't write
so
that?
I'll get back to you.
You didn't write it?
I wrote it, but on
Yeah, we were
Tuesday.
talking about it.
You're done. Oh, you're done.
Yeah. Also, you know what page you found the thing about overall and the
It goes to 86.
basics?
Wait, awesome.
Oh,
Is Katie give you food?
Huh?
Did Katie give you food?
She was,
Yeah, you guys can go ahead.
Oh, does it have to be?
there is no basics.
She has ice cream
Oh,
with food, but she never does.
How?
It's not gonna melt.
87?
It's in the fridge.
Did you guys have fun during that debate? Did you enjoy
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
So we should
I
have
was
like a
getting
debate.
aggravated with what
She
you were
was there
saying.
sad.
I was getting
Like,
so
I was
mad.
I should have like a
so
debate
mad.
where
We
it's
should do that.
but
You
no one
guys
we
can
have to
say
get
modern
we have to
people.
get this evenly.
Modern times.
Yeah, guys, just to give you a heads up, we're gonna do a debate for the last or the second to last day of school of classes. We're gonna do a debate on just in general communism, capitalism, and socialism. So, which system you think is more effective? And I'll still working on planning the whole thing out, but we
Wait,
might
when is
let
our
you choose
essay
your sides.
due?
We'll see. Your essay, I kind of been over this, but I think it's gonna be the last Wednesday.
Tiger.
So yeah, like, we're gonna work through it together. Just keep up with the work and you'll be fine, don't worry about it.
What's the main job of a politician?
The main job of a politician.
Chocolate?
That's a really good question. I have no idea.
That looks like chocolate.
Technically, to.
It's cheese.
It's just to debate.
To
right?
run
I
the
was watching the news the other day, and you know how much
They
debt
don't do
we're
that
in?
very well.
It's cheese.
Say they
Like,
have
they
a
got
government
their own
or
debt.
they try to,
And you know they're changing the price
they
of
try to pass legislation. Well, it depends on
They're changing the
different, like,
price of gold, like
so
for
like the
trading.
congressman,
On
their
what?
main job is to
On gold.
pass
Like
legislation.
when our country
In May,
changes.
in
As a president, you just make decisions.
The president
That's all you do.
is technically the executive,
My dad
the
found
chief
a box of
executive
nickel.
officer of the
You
United
hear Charlie?
States, sort of.
I was
But
watching the
he's the-
news.
So all you do
So
is
here's a
like
lot of
agree
debt.
and disagree with something.
He can
We
be-
are China like
yeah.
Hey,
9 billion.
Charlie,
Also, like,
Charlie, you know they're changing the
enforce all
prices in gold
So-
He's not listening.
when
to
they
me.
trade?
What do you
You
mean?
know that they're changing the prices in gold?
Yeah, gold prices change
All the
They're
time.
changing.
a lot,
In
yeah.
America, right?
No, that's, they
They
always
change
change.
like every 5
Yeah,
seconds.
they change, yeah.
Every 5
There's
seconds.
there's constant change. Maybe
Like
you're
seven.
talking about like maybe you're talking about like a big change, but that's the whole,
Yeah.
that's trading like the futures. My dad's actually into that, trading futures or, stock option or good.
What?
trading
Sit back here, sure.
So what they do is like, they sell market, right?
I don't get
They
that.
buy and sell,
Students? Yeah.
futures all over the
You
place.
should go.
Wait,
Charlie.
Yeah, I mean, class is pretty much over, but.
What?
What's that?
Boogie down.
I said that.
Oh, so guys, this is how Robbie Flora,
Ching
the
chong,
administration
chong,
says.
ching chong.
Sides.
No, this is just.
That's so.
I was waiting for that.
Oh, shoot.
Okay, see you guys, thank you.
Goodbye.
Have a nice day. I hope you don't mind being videotaped.
What?
Let's hope I didn't look like too much of a fool.
You want me to, how you stop? No, I'm not gonna tell him.
Don't mess with it.
No, I didn't touch it.
Let's just stop it.
You didn't know we were being, there's